What's up to all my freelancers and creatives? This is Nathan, and in this video, we are going to answer the question, should you portray yourself as an independent or should you portray yourself as an agency with your creative skill? I must say that I have a confession. Many years ago when I started my business, the fact that I had internet access was huge for me because this meant that not only did I have access to my immediate circle and the friends I knew and the people that were closest to me, I also had access to the entire world. Having this level of access also created a problem for me. The internet allowed me the opportunity just to observe what other creators were doing and other professionals were doing, and I was able to watch them and look at their marketing tactics and techniques. The problem this created was I developed a bad habit of copying. Now, not copying in the sense of stealing their work and or their ideas, but copying their marketing tactics and the different things they did without knowing the real reason of why they were doing them. I wrestled with things like writing the bio on my about page, and as I mentioned, I copied their marketing tactics and techniques. So my bio went from something that looked like Nathan is a web designer to Nathan is the founder of a web design studio headquartered in Houston, Texas. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying that because that is true. However, the thought behind it was me leaning on myself as an independent wasn't enough, and I have to portray myself as something bigger. That was my thought. My thought was, if I'm going to get clients, they want to work with a full-scale agency. They don't want to work with an independent person, but that was an incorrect assumption. Now, I will admit, portraying myself as a web design studio yielded different results than when I said I was an independent creative. Yes, there are some people that do want to work with full-scale agencies, but as I mentioned in my previous video, you have to know where you fall in the creative process, and you trying to portray yourself as something you're not is not really going to help you in the creative process. So looking at others also created another problem for me. It wasn't just the problem of wanting to portray myself as larger than I really was. It also created the problem of being a full-time freelancer versus a part-time freelancer. Let me explain. There was something in me that saw all these other people working in their own independent web studios, or they're the founder of their own companies, and there's something that just came off as unappealing as a part-time freelancer. For the longest time, I was a part-time freelancer, meaning that I go to my day job, but any other time I am working on my business, building my business, and freelancing on the side. But there's something about full-time freelancers versus part-time freelancers that's not necessarily true, but there's this type of stigma that exists. On my YouTube channel, I was teaching a lot about pricing and the business of freelance. I remember it caught someone's attention, and I was a guest on their podcast, and they even asked me, they were like, Nathan, are you full-time or part-time? And I revealed to them that I was a part-time freelancer. And then a comment was made like, wow, you know, I've learned a lot from you even though you're part-time. And then we got into a discussion about full-time versus part-time. But I heard a little nuance, and the little nuance in the voice in the question was somewhat like, wow, you're part-time? I didn't know. You taught so much. It was almost like it was being said, oh, you're part-time, not full-time? Full-time is better than part-time. And to be honest, I also wrestled with saying that I was a part-time freelancer as well, because it was the stigma that full-time was better. I felt that full-time freelancers could command more respect, and if a client had to choose between a full-timer and a part-timer, they're going to choose the full-time freelancer. Maybe because the client feels the part-timer's attention is going to be divided, but that's not true. Whether it's an agency or a full-time freelancer, the topic of attention and attention being divided simply comes down to this. How many projects are you working on at once? Sure, a part-time freelancer probably has a day job, and they do have to manage their time with the day job, what other personal things they have going on in their life, and the fact that they're freelancing on the side. They do have to manage their time, and it may come off like they don't have enough time to devote to your project, but that's not true. When it comes to an agency or a full-time freelancer, it's the same thing for them. More than likely, because they want to stay afloat, they have to take on multiple clients and multiple projects at the same time, and sometimes those projects overlap, and then they still have to balance their personal life with the overlapping projects. that doesn't change. So an agency's attention can be divided, a full-time freelancer's attention can be divided, and so can a part-time freelancer's attention. They all can be divided. They all can have divided attention. It all comes down to their ability to focus as well as their ability to produce results. Everything I'm saying all comes down to authenticity. You don't want to get to the point to where you are trying to portray yourself as something you're not, because right now in 2018 and beyond, that is not going to work anymore. The fact that you want to portray yourself as larger and you're leaning on perception rather than your actual skills, rather than your actual ability to produce results, that used to work in the past, that's not going to work anymore. Here's an example. I have a friend named Scott, and when Scott was getting into the internet business web game, he started his own web design company. I asked Scott a couple of questions. I asked him, how do you program certain things? How do you write code for certain websites? And Scott said, I have no clue. It turns out that Scott wasn't a web designer. He was advertising himself as a web designer. He would talk with clients, get all their information, then go hire a freelancer on Upwork or freelancer.com. And then, he was the middleman between the client and the web designer, but everything on his website said he was a web designer. Now that was back in 2010. However, what we're going towards in 2020, that is not going to work. We are reaching an important part in history, which is we're getting to the point to where personal is starting to overlap with professional, and who you are is really starting to come to the forefront. So those who are being authentic, those who are being their true selves, those who are being honest, those who are telling the truth, they are going to remain and do better than those who are trying to lean on the perception of whatever they can make up or portray on the internet. Gary Vaynerchuk is a great example of that. He is himself. He tells it how it is. He opens up his life, and he's just honest about everything, as well as his mindset as it pertains to business. If you resonate with that mindset, then you work with him because you know he can produce results. However, if you're trying to be one thing online and portray yourself as one way, but that's not really how you are, what you believe, or what you stand by, and it doesn't really equate to the values in your business, that's gonna be exposed. It seems like almost every day I look at a news article and there's some type of breaking news from a celebrity or a business person revealing or pulling back the curtain on something that they did privately that is now public. So they can't hide anymore. They can't put forward a false perception, and the fact that they did is working to their disadvantage at the moment. So if you're hustling in your business, you're working hard, you're trying to move forward, a key element to your success is going to be authenticity. You're gonna have to be your true, authentic, honest self. And you don't have to say everything that's on your mind or everything that you believe. However, you are gonna have to be true to yourself. And certain things are no longer working anymore on the internet. The people who are creative professionals that want to build an email list of thousands of people, and then they want to sell the people something that are on that email list, but they don't take the time to answer emails or reply to people, that tactic used to work. It's not going to work in the future. The people that say they're experts at something, but online there's no historical evidence of their work, their results, that used to work to portray yourself one way, but you have nothing to back it up. That used to work. That's not going to work in the future. The people that say, come to my live webinar and I'll teach you the 5 tips on fill in the blank, and it's not really a live webinar, but a recording, that used to work in the past. That's not going to work in the future. And it's not going to work because people will discover you're just building an email list because you want to sell them and you're not making a genuine connection. People will find out that you're hosting a live webinar, but it's not really live, and you're just putting them in automation because you want to sell them and you're not even taking the time to talk to someone. Quick sidebar, there's nothing wrong with setting up automation to grow your email list or to set up automation for a webinar. It's the fact that you're trying to portray it as live and real, like you really care or like you're really there, but you're not. Automation is supposed to be in place to help us save time on those repetitive tasks that we always do so we can focus on what's important. One thing you cannot automate is human interaction. If you're using automation to fake human interaction and you say certain things like, hit reply, I'd love to talk to you, but then you never respond to emails, you're faking that human interaction, and there's no replacement for that. Sure, spending time talking to someone can be time consuming, answering emails can be time consuming, hopping on a phone call can be time consuming, but those are the things that are going to build an authentic, genuine connection that will help get you clients. Talking to people helps you close the deal on getting clients. Sure, you can use automation to see if somebody qualifies, but you can't really get past, talking to someone. That's the only way you can build a genuine connection to grow your brand, to grow your business and your clientele, and even to get to the point where you're trying to transition a potential client to a client who has a signed proposal and is willing to pay you. Human interaction, authentic human interaction, and there's no replacement for that. I posed a question earlier, and that question was, should you present yourself as an independent freelancer or someone who has a web design studio or an agency as something larger? And the truth is, there's no right answer. You can do both. However, whatever you do, you have to be authentic. Don't embellish the truth. Be forward, be honest, and just tell the truth about your skills, what you've done, and how you can produce value. A great example of this is Jared Drysdale at Studio Fellow. Right on his homepage, Jared outlines that he is an independent, and this website is the studio of an independent author, designer, and maker. And he's just honest and straightforward with it, so he doesn't have to deal with difficult questions later like I used to deal with when I would talk to people and say, yes, I'm a full-scale web agency headquartered in Houston, Texas. Then they start asking me about my team and I start to stumble. Sometimes I work with freelancers, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just me, and I wouldn't have been at a loss of words in the past if I was just straightforward about where I was. This is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how my years of experience can help you. Focus on results in an honest manner and just remain authentic, and people will resonate with that, because when people find out you weren't necessarily being truthful, that hurts you when you're marketing or when you're getting to the point of trying to seal the deal with a client. If you're honest, straightforward, and say, this is how I work. Sometimes I do bring in other freelancers, but I'm gonna be the main project managed lead. This is how it's going to go. This is my process. My process has been proven. Look at all the results. Look at my case studies. It works. They don't mind working with an independent person, because it doesn't matter if you're a large agency. Everybody is used to that one-on-one interaction. No matter how large your business is, or no matter how large your business becomes, or even if it stays small, the success or failure of your business is going to come down to one or two people, because it's all about that interaction with an individual person, whoever your client is. That is paramount. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you liked anything I said in the video, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and leave a review. I will go ahead and read the review, and I use those reviews to make these episodes better. Honestly and truly, authenticity is going to be the thing that allows you to be successful. It doesn't matter if you are a large studio or a small independent. Be honest about who you are and just focus on the fact that you do good work and produce results. And honesty will go a long way. We're getting to the point, as I mentioned, to where those who embellished on the internet, they're somewhat being uncovered, and people are starting to steer away from that. They're looking for honesty and authenticity over the perception of someone who looks one way, but they discover they're not really that way. So it doesn't matter if you're a freelancer who's small. It doesn't matter if you are a creative professional who teaches an online course. Be honest and upfront about your time commitments and what you have available. Otherwise, people may buy your course and find out it wasn't what you said it was. So honesty will win at the end of the day in a world on the internet where people tend to make up who they are. It'll be refreshing to people to really see honest people are still left, authentic people are still left, and they want authentic people on their projects to produce authentic results. Until the next one, I will catch you later. See ya.